Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I know it's been a long time since I've made a video, and as many of you know, I've been busy with school, and now it's the winter break right now. I still have work, but the semester was really busy. I had finals, and then I got sick, and then there was the holidays, and blah blah blah. So a lot is I'm still getting over the cold that I had, but a lot was going on. So I've now had time to actually sit down and make this video. So there's a couple things I'm going to be talking about in this video, so it's sort of like a little mini update, but I also want to continue on with my discussion about Carl Jung and psychological types, because my last video was about that. First thing I want to say, though, is I have a friend here on YouTube. I know him personally, who has a YouTube channel, and his screen name is J Cookies. I'll post a link in the description section. Please go check out his video. If you like videos that are funny, if you like to see videos that, are just, I don't want to say they're random, but, are basically, he has a different video, wide variety of different types of videos. Really funny and off-the-wall stuff, then go check out his video. I'm just giving a shout-out to him. I'm actually in 2 of his videos. So if you want to see me in a completely different context than how you normally see me here, then that's probably the best way to do it. They're not meant to be serious. It's meant for entertainment and comedy purposes, but it's really fun. So go check out his video again, J Cookies. Excuse me. Another thing is, I just want to give an update that in the future I'm going to be making videos on a variety of different subjects. I have my secondary channel, which I haven't used very much, where I will be making videos more along the lines of talking about like literature, poetry, things like that. So I'll be making videos on that channel more frequently. Again, I'm going to be still continuing my discussion about Carl Jung on this channel and things that I'm learning about Carl Jung's psychological theories. At some point, I will be posting articles on my blog talking about my views on philosophy. I've been reading a lot of philosophical works, and also, of course, on this channel and on the blog, I'll be discussing my continuing evolving views on God, theology, etc. So stay tuned for all of that. I hope it sparks some discussion. The video I'll be making probably after this particular video, if it's not another Carl Jung video, I'll be either doing a blog post or a video on this channel answering some questions people have been asking me about my own personal theological views. Also about some of the controversial videos that have been posted in the past several months, recent months, starting I think in the summer up to this point, about the embryology in the Quran and the critics who are discussing that topic, and people want to know what my views are. And I've been corresponding with people about the subject, but I feel like it's necessary for me to actually go into a deeper description of what I feel about that particular subject matter. So yeah, but for now, I'm going to continue on with my video about Carl Jung's views on psychological types. So if you'll remember in the last video, I asked people to take this personality test and then post what their results were, and then tell me what religion or lack thereof they, basically, what they consider themselves. And I wanted to see if there was a correlation between religious belief and personality type. I did actually find that correlation, and I said in the video that I wasn't expecting one. But I will say that what I've discovered is that even if you're an atheist or a Muslim, and anywhere in between, certainly how you approach the topic of what you believe in or what you consider to be part of reality, you do so in a certain flavor. And this is something that I was really considering, and I'll go into more details about this when I was analyzing the works of the Muslim philosopher Ibn Sina and the theologian Imam al-Ghazali. Both were Muslims, and yet they described God, or at least why they believe God, in God, and also how one can understand God in 2 totally different ways. And I'll probably be writing a blog post on that particular subject. Jung himself did that in his book Psychological Types, which I've read and own, where he talked about the early church father Origen and I believe Tertullian. And if it wasn't Tertullian, it was Irenaeus, and I'm not entirely sure now. But he basically compared and contrasts their two unique views, even though they were both Christians. So I want to do this in sizable chunks, and so I'm only going to cover, for those of you who took the personality tests, you'll see that the first letter, there was a series of 4 letters, and these are derived from the Myers-Briggs test. So Jung didn't really come up with these 4 definite letters. In fact, in his original assessment of personality types, he basically said that you were either an extrovert and you're one of the 4 functions, which would be thinking, sensation, feeling, and intuition. However, Myers-Briggs they were able to derive the test and the results based on what Jung actually wrote. So Jung felt that the first part of someone's personality, or I should say, the first descriptor of someone's conscious personality, is whether you're an extrovert or an introvert. And he described, I'm actually going to be utilizing 2 books. One is called Introducing Jung by Maggie Hyde and Michael McGinnis. So again, the personality types basically describe the conscious part of your personality, with the exception of the 4th function, which we'll get into in another video. But I'm only going to cover extrovert and introvert in this particular video. So he says that Jung divided, again, he called them the attitudes, the 2 attitudes. One's extrovert and one is introvert. An extrovert's attitude is motivated from the outside and is directed by external objective factors and relationships. And so then it says psychic energy flows outward towards the world. So your psychological energy essentially flows out towards the world, and you have more. You're much more interested in things that are going on outside of yourself. An introvert, on the other hand, is motivated from within, directed by inner subjective factors. So withdrawing energy from the world. So you bring in energy, and you're much more concerned with your subjective experiences. Jung himself was an introvert, and he said that Freud was an extrovert, and this is one of the reasons why they couldn't get along. Now, that's not to say that extroverts and introverts cannot get along, but this is one of the reasons, in retrospect, that Jung felt that they had a conflict between the 2. So what ends up happening is the text continues, extroversion and introversion are mutually exclusive. If one forms the habitual conscious attitude, the other becomes unconscious and acts in a compensatory manner. So, in other words, that you become, through your environment, you become accustomed to using a specific type of the specific attitude. So it's through you growing up in your environment that you essentially are extrovert. You become more of an extrovert as opposed to an introvert. The introvert becomes more of an unconscious part of your unconscious. But this is, the conscious attitude becomes too fixed. Its unconscious attitude will break through as a return of the repressed. And this is something that happens a lot in Jung's theory, is that things that become too repressed will break out uncontrollably. So if you're an extrovert and you never learn to at least give some sort of credit to your introversion, it can break out in moments that may not be beneficial to you. And this is indeed one of his most famous theories. I mean, a lot of people not even have watched this video of mine know what I'm talking about extrovert and introvert. Now, I'll go into the 4 functions at another point in another video, but I want to then read the description of the 2 attitudes as found in this book by Anthony Stevens called Jung. It says the 2 attitudes. Let's see. Actually, I'll read. Let's see. I'll just start with this subtitle. The 4 functions. The psychological types. Jung described the different characteristics of the 4 functions in great detail, but he summed up this information very succinctly in Man and His Symbols, published 2 years after his death. These 4 functions correspond to the obvious means by which the consciousness obtains its orientation to experience. Sensation, i.e. sense perception, tells us us that something exists. Thinking tells you what it is. Feeling tells you whether it is agreeable or not. And your intuition tells you whence it comes and where it is going. It's from Man and His Symbols, page 61. You'll consider thinking and feeling to be rational. Okay, so actually, I'll pause there. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll get into that this stuff in a different video. I don't want to give you too much information. So skipping ahead to the two attitudes, the way in which function manifests in the psychology of the individual depends on the characteristic attitude adopted by him or her. Whereas the extrovert is oriented primarily to events in the outer world, the introvert is primarily concerned with the inner world. Typically, the extrovert has an ongoing, candid, and accommodating nature that adapts easily to a given situation, quickly forms attachments, and setting aside any possible misgivings, will often venture forth with careless confidence in unknown situations. The introvert, on the other hand, has a hesitant, reflective, retiring nature that keeps itself to itself, shrinks from objects, is always slightly on the defensive, and prefers to hide behind mistrustful scrutiny. So, there are these, essentially, you have people who are one or the other. So for myself, people ask me what my personality type was. I'm an extrovert, and so this is just one way of understanding yourself. Now in the description section, I'm going to post the articles from Wikipedia that talk more about this subject, about Jung's views on psychological types or personality types. There's really not a huge way to really get into this in more detail. I'm going to make more videos on the subject in the near future. But one thing I will tell you, the benefit that I have discovered by reading Jung's views on personality types is you can really understand where other people are coming from. You understand consciously how other people consciously will take in information, how they may process a given situation. And by doing, you just know how to understand when you're talking to somebody. You understand where they're coming from. You may not agree with them, but you understand how they're processing the information. And it's a very beneficial thing. You understand people better by understanding personality types. So, like I said, in the next video I'll go over Jung's views on the four functions, which was sensation, thinking, feeling, and intuition. And I wrote down a lot of notes because I checked out a lot of books in the library about Jungian psychology and wrote down a whole bunch of notes about psychological types in particular. So at some point I might just do a whole video just sort of reading some of the notes or summarizing the notes that I took, because I took pretty extensive notes. So the next video will be specifically on the four functions. We'll kind of look at the bigger picture now that we're sort of going from extrovert introversion to these other elements of someone's conscious personality. And then we'll sort of talk about, what's the point of all of this, and how can we better understand, our personality type, and how it can help us by understanding all of this for our lives. Alright, well, thank you very much. And also, I want to give a last shout out. Very fascinating. I was on campus where I go to school, and I actually met one of my subscribers in person. I was coming down the stairs, and this girl goes, "You look so familiar." I just went, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. And she went, aren't you on YouTube? I think I subscribed to you on YouTube. And I told her who I was, and then she was someone who actually subscribes to me. So shout out to that person. I don't know if she'll comment on the video, but that was really fun. So out of the 2,000 of you who subscribed to me, I actually ran into one of you in person. So that was pretty entertaining. Made my day. Alright, well, hope you're all doing good. Hope everybody's enjoying the holidays. And if I don't make another video tomorrow, then Happy New Year to everybody. Happy 2012. And I will, make a new video sooner rather than later. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you're all doing well. Peace be with you all.